Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Lesta Mega. I'm the 6B of English Education Department. Now I want to explain about early step in analysis in chapter 4 in subject data analysis. Let's see. Chapter 4 Early Step in Analysis. In this chapter, we describe methods for qualitative data analysis that are useful during the early stage on a study of the while data collection is going on. They help organize data for later, deeper analysis, such as choosing using the display described in chapter 5 through 8. Why early data analysis important at all? Some qualitative researchers put primary energy into data collection for weeks, months, or even years and then retire from the field to work over their notes. We believe this is a mistake. It rules out the possibility of collecting new data to fill in gaps, or the test new hypotheses that emerge during analysis. It discourages the formulation of rival hypotheses that question file workers, routine assumptions, and bias. And it makes analysis into giant, sometimes overwhelming tasks that demotivate the researchers and reduce the quality of the work procedures. Next slide is main method useful for early analysis. Name of map. The firstly, name of method. The second, analysis problem. The analysis problem, need or difficulty faced by qualitative data analysis for which the method may be a useful solution. Number 3, brief description, what the method is and how it works. Next, illustration. In more detail, a mini case showing how the method is developed and used. Usually, this section is a variety of non-standard subheadings such as making the firm, assembling the data, drawing conclusions, revising and editing, and using the result. Next, variation. Variation alternative approaches that use the same general principle, work of other researchers in cited. Next, advice summarizing comments about the use of the method and tips for using it well, and the last time required. Estimates to guide researchers. This will vary according to subject matter, the researcher's skill, the researcher's question being asked, the number of cases, and so on. Next, our assumption about data. The method, they are arranged roughly from early to later in data collection and from simple to complex. Beginning with the context summary sheet, a simple way to summarize term limited data. We proceed through first level coding, second level or pattern code, and the process of deriving even more general terms called memoing. As more and more data pile up, the case analysis, meeting, and the interim case summary is crucial for understanding. The finite present focus the limited information on one of or several episodes. The pre-structured case is an economical way of integrating case data. We conclude this chapter with a section on a sequential analysis, illustrating how methods of this sort can follow each other in flow over time. The point A, contact summary sheet. In contact summary sheet have seven points. The first point is analysis problem. The second point is brief description, and the third point is illustration, and the fourth point variation. Next, advice, time required, and the last, document summary form. Okay, let's see. And the point B, code and coding. Okay, analysis problem. Okay, sorry. As soon as the file researchers begins to compile information, challenges appear. A big one comes from the multiplicity of data source and form. Some information comes from structure or casual observation. More probably comes from interviewing, open and ended, structured, ethnographic. There are also less obstructive measures, everyday or special document, archival records, diaries, and physical artifacts. In some studies, there can be information from the questionnaire and surveys, film and video, or tests and data. Okay, next, brief description. brief description have the two. The first, coding in analysis. Coding in analysis to review a set of field notes, transcribe and synthesize, and to dissect them meaningfully while keeping the relation between the parts intact is the stuff of analysis. This part of analysis involves how you difference and combine the data you have retrieved and the reflections you make about list information. Next, code are text or label for assigning units of a meaning to the descriptive or inferential information compiled during a study. Codes usually are attached to chunks of varying size or work, phrase, sentence, or whole paragraph, connected or unconnected to a specific setting. They can take the form of a straightforward category label or a more complex one. Next, illustration. Types of codes. Let's assume you were interested, as we were in our school improvement study, in the reason why new educational practice in adopted. You might begin by asking informants why they or others decided to try the practice. These are descriptive codes. They entail little interpretations. Rather, you are attributing a class of phenomena to segment of text. The same segment could, of course, be handled more interpretively. Let's assume that as you become more knowledgeable about local dynamics, a more complex, a more backstage web of motifs turn up. Some people may have adopted the new practice chiefly to attract attention to themselves and to set up a desirable promotion. We then have the public, a visual motive, such as the one in the segment shown above, and the more private or backstage motive. Okay, next, advice. Advice to summarize. Codes are efficient data labeling and data retrieval device. They empower and speed up analysis. Creating a stand list of codes prior to while work is helpful. Enforce the analysis to tie research, question, or conceptual interest directly to the data. But the analysis should be ready to redefine or discard codes when they look inapplicable, overbooked, and empirically ill-fitting, or overly abstract. You also can work more inductively by waiting for the field notes to suggest more empirically driven labels. You should not, however, wait too long or more capriciously from one coding scent to other. Next, time required. The time required for generating initial codes and definition depends, of course, on how many you start with and on the clarity of the conceptual framework and research question. Coding itself takes varying amounts of times depending on the code's conceptual structure and complexity, the quality of the field notes, and the coder's skill. Here is some typical arithmetic from our experience. Okay, next let's see. Have the 2-point reflexive remarks and marginal remarks. Reflective remarks is raw field notes. It's the scribbles and jottings that enter your notebook as you are watching a situation and talking with someone. Must, as we have pointed out, be converted into a write-up, the transcription that is legible to any readers. The temptation during a write-up is to slog along, converting raw notes into a coherent account, but the method missing an important resource: the field workers' reflection and commentary on issues that emerge during the process. Okay, next, marginal remarks. What is this? Coding, as we have noted, can become tedious if you treat yourself as a sort of machine scanning the page methodically, picking out small segments of the data and side of retaining mindfulness in coding in the marginal remarks. It's analogous to the reflective remarks. Okay. C. Okay, point C, pattern coding. Okay. For the qualitative analysis, pattern coding has 4 important functions. Let's see. Number 1, it reduces a large amount of data into a smaller number of analytics units. And Number 2 is it gets the researcher into analysis during data collection so that later file work can be more focused. Number 3, it helps the researchers elaborate a cognitive map and involving more integrated schema for understanding local incidents and interaction. And number 4, for multi-case studies, it lays the groundwork for cross-case analysis by observing common themes and directional pro CCSSBS. Okay? Let's see. Next. Point D, memoing. Memoing the point developing propositions. Okay. Memoing captures the thought of the analyst on the ILI. So to speak and is precious for the reason as a study process there is a greater needs to formalize and systematize the researcher's thinking into a coherent set of explanation. One way to do that is to generate propositions or connected sets of statements reflecting the finding and the conclusion of the study. Okay, next, point E. Point E about case analysis meeting. Okay. In any study that has multiple cases, the meaning of what is happening in each case tend increasingly to get lost to fieldwork write-ups, coding, and other preliminary analysis. So, Reynolds and Weinberg, 1990, look at of the methodological logs of the graduate students in a years-long qualitative method course. I found to my course when I began to analyze the data for the end of quarter progress report that my notes were almost useless because I had not gone back to them after the interviews. I'm now faced with the job of listening to all the tape, some 12 hours worth, and doing what I should have done in the first place, preparing relevant summaries of information for each interview. Okay, the next point, F, interim case summary. Okay, let's see. Data accounting sheet. Doing an interim case summary can be the opportunity for setting up a data accounting sheet. The technique may look laborious, even overzealous, but it pays handsome rewards. In field research, you lose sight all too quickly of how much and which sort of data have been collected from different informants, because these data are often corroborative, verifying an explanation given by others. Okay, point G. Fitness. A fitness is a focused description of a series of even said to be representative, typical, and emblematic. In the case you are doing, it has a narrative, story-like structure that preserve chronological flow and that's normally is limited to a brief time span, to one or a few key actors, to bonus page or to all three. As Erickson 1986 suggests, it is a vivid portrayal of the conduct of an event of everyday life in which the signs and sounds of what was being said and done are described in the natural sequence of their occurrence in real time. Okay, next point H. Prestructured case. Assuming that the researchers has established an explicit conceptual framework, a rather precise set of research questions, and a clearly defined sampling plane. The pre-structured case began with a case outlet developed before any data are collected. The outline includes detailed data displays as well as narrative section accompanying them. The outline is in effect as well as a share for the data to come. Over several rounds of field visit, the researchers filled in successive draft of the case, revising steadily. The final version of the case is ready shortly after the last field visit. Okay, the last point, yeah. Okay, this is the last point. Point E, sequential. Sequential analysis. In this chapter, we have reviewed a series of method-based suites for early analytic work, and after use a data collection continues. We should emphasize that a single interim analysis is rarely enough. If we listen carefully, our case will say to us, as Norman Mailer once said to his readers, "Do not understand me too quickly. It's easy to fall into the trap for premature closure, a feeling of rightness that is granted falsely, especially because early data collection is usually partial, flawed, and simplistic in some important respect." Okay, this is the last point. Okay, thanks for attention. I think so enough. If I made mistake, please apologize me and sorry for my voice, my sound, but my condition is not well. Okay. Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and thank you.